So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the post-lunch session of the 20th edition of International Conference on Apparel and Home Textiles, organized by the OGTC. Myself, Dr. Sinha, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Fabric and Apparel Science at Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi. I hope you all had a refreshing lunch break and are ready for yet another engaging set of discussions and presentations. The post-lunch session promises to bring us powerful insights from leaders who are shaping the future of textiles and apparel globally. The theme of this panel discussion is Global Sourcing Perspectives, Aligning India's Capabilities with Buyer Expectations. So, for this session, may I please now invite on stage our moderator, Dr. Animesh Saxena, who is the Managing Director at Neetee Apparel, a leader with over 30 years of experience in textiles and active roles in AEPC, FISME and ATDC. Sir is a science graduate with PhD and MBA from FMS, BHU and PGDIM from IMI New Delhi. He has been working in the field of textiles and apparels for the last 30 years and holding the position of Managing Director of Neetee Clothing Private Limited for the last 15 years. He is actively involved in various industry forums which include, he has been the past president of FISME for 2019 to 2022, General Secretary of GEMA, EC member of AEPC and member board of convener ATDC. Can we please have a round of applause for him? So joining him on this distinguished panel are eminent experts. Let me please welcome Mr. Rahul Gupta, Senior Vice President, Lee and Fung India Private Limited. Mr. Rahul Gupta is a B.Tech in Textiles from Technological Institute of Textiles and Sciences, Bhiwani. He has over 25 years experience in the textile industry, presently leading the sourcing operations in India Hub office of Lee and Fung, which is one of the world's largest supply chain companies serving multiple retail clients globally. Successfully managing placements of more than $250 million worth of export orders annually, directly working with a client base of more than 25 plus customers across North America, Europe, UK and Latin America, as well as more than 150 plus Indian export vendor base. Welcome, sir. Please, round of applause. Next on the panel we have Ms. Caroline Joire, who is the country leader at Kiabi, India. Ms. Caroline is a dynamic leader with 15 years of global experience in procurement, sourcing and operations. Currently the country leader at Kiabi, India, she has driven ESG-focused initiatives, supplier development and innovative sustainable fashion projects. With a proven track record of building high-performing teams, reducing lead times and fostering cross-cultural collaboration, Caroline is passionate about driving growth while championing the sustainability and responsible business practices. Next on the panel we have Ms. Nivedita Sinha, who is the General Manager at Marks & Spencer India. With over 3 decades of experience in the apparel and accessories industry, Ms. Nivedita is a seasoned leader recognized for driving business expansion and building strong brand presence across the US and European markets. Having successfully sourced from India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, Nivedita Sinha brings deep knowledge of supplier management and stakeholder collaboration. Her global perspective, commitment to sustainable success and proven track record in manufacturing, sourcing, buying agencies and brand management make her a respected voice in the sector. So I welcome all our distinguished panel on the stage and now hand over the proceedings to Dr. Saxena to lead the discussion. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Post-lunch session is always a difficult session, and I'm sure with the kind of panelists which we have today, they'll keep you awake. The subjects which we are discussing today, the global sourcing perspective, aligning India's capability with buyer expectation. You see, in the past session also, we all learned that we are stuck for the last 3-4 years with the same 14 to 16 billion exports from India for apparels. And we have also been talking about, China ceding the space, China plus one, and India is probably the best suited with having the entire value chain with us. But somehow, in spite of having all these things, we are still in the same bracket, not able to improve. So we have some couple of people who are from the sourcing and buyer side, and it will be good to know from them that what are the lacking or what are the positives with India's capabilities and how we can go to the next level. Let me ask with first Rahul, since he is part of one of the, I think, India's biggest sourcing company, which is an international global sourcing company based in India, that what are the buyer's requirement beyond the cost? I mean, cost is definitely one factor, but there are certain factors also which buyers look at in India. And unfortunately, India, what my experience and what I hear from all of you, is India is a victim of perspective also. Like we are considered a spring-summer garment manufacturer. And the buyers, even a lot of buyers, they don't even look at us, even if we have the capability or maybe we can match the price to the other categories, especially the fall-winter categories.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I think that's a very valid question. What are we in the buyers, our representatives, looking for in addition to the cost? I think there is so much to it, and I think since this session we are also talking about home textiles in addition to apparel. So firstly, that number in addition to 16 is at 38 billion that we are exporting out of India. 38 billion in this category. So it's a huge number. Home textiles as such is not as big as apparel. So to say in the organized sector, probably it could be around half of it, 7 to 8 billion, I would say in that figure. But yes, the common expectations remain same across categories, in apparel, home decor. The biggest expectation in which we have to meet as a country today, and which is the biggest challenge I am facing, is the quality expectations of our customer. Now, in terms of quality expectations, we have to deliver what we are committing, and this is what I'm seeing is repeatedly not happening. Same thing, and I've been hearing this, and probably you people would be hearing this, that we are a country of over-promising and under-deliver. I would still say it has not changed. Like when I started working 25 years ago, I used to hear buyers coming to meetings. And I started with the manufacturing sector. So I have my initial 5 years given to the manufacturing sector. And then later on, the last 20 years, fortunately or unfortunately, I have been with this one company, Fung. Have attended to so many buyer meetings, vendor meetings, met so many great people all around here. Everywhere there's a big discussion of over-promise and under-deliver. Over-promise in terms of what we can meet in terms of parameters, in terms of quality, in terms of delivery. So I think if there are two top things, if I have to say, that we have to correct in our way of working, one is quality and one is discipline, mindset. So chalta hai wala attitude is something we will have to leave behind us. That's the story of past. China mein doesn't chalta hai. Any other competitor, Vietnam mein chalta hai, nahi hota hai. So all these countries, they work with conviction. If you are able to deliver this, then you have to commit. If you are not able to deliver it, don't commit. You take your stand and you will be honored for that. You will be rewarded for that. But just by accepting something under pressure, that's not going to work. So these are the two biggest things I can say, discipline, diligence, and quality. And then there could be number of things, again, my fellow panelists will also enlighten on that. But to me, maybe the product innovation, and I'll give you a few examples as we proceed in our discussions. Product innovation, we're not spending anything on product innovation. We're really not spending anything on employee worker training or skill development. I like a very good point which Pallab made in the last panel discussion, that we have to have automation in our manufacturing process, and I think I'm a total big advocate of that. That going forward, it is about scaling and automation. But at the same time, and then he said descaling is a big requirement for that. Yes, agree. But we have to still generate skill for the people where there's a semi-automated line, where there's a manual line, and India is known for its manual work, handcrafted works. In addition to that, in terms of training and skill development, we have to have that mindset. So these 2-3 things I think are the topmost in my agenda. If we are able to get that, cost perhaps is not a big barrier today, what I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. And I definitely agree with you that the probably what we promise we don't deliver. That's, I think, a bigger problem than the actual delivered goods. And probably because of this image, we are under more scrutiny among the buyers that for the Indian goods. Because when other countries, they're hanging the showroom. But probably, yes, definitely we suffer from this image that whatever we promise, we don't deliver. Secondly, innovation, which you have raised this question. You see what is happening. A lot of our neighboring country, you say Bangladesh and probably Vietnam also, Indonesia I'm not aware. They are mostly CM factories. They don't have any innovation and they don't spend money also. And that's the reason the cost-wise they are much more cost-effective than us. But while in our case, Indian, mostly we do the fashion business, where onus is on us for everything, for development, sampling, and that push the cost also. So I'm not sure whether the buyer, they have this factor in this mind that they don't expect the Bangladesh. I have been to a few factories there. They hardly have any sampling departments. And they get a raw material which is ready to cut. In our factory, mostly you see, we have a store, we have a checkings, entire quality checkers, and we find flaws in the fabric, and then whole thing delays and adds to your cost. In Bangladesh, I have seen the fabric comes, and it is straightway goes on the cutting table. So probably they have certain advantages of these things and less overhead operation. Anything on that?
As I said, Bangladesh definitely enjoys, again, their scales are much bigger, their mills, their factories are much bigger than Indian factories, and this is what I've been hearing quite often, and this is where they enjoy their advantage of efficiency as well as price, how they are price aggressive. So in terms of innovation, what I would also like to call out, and again, in terms of apparel, I'm really not sure of how many of our apparel factories really have their own patents or their own product development which they are selling to the buyers under their own brand. Whereas if you come across in the home textile sector, I can name a few patents, and again driven by some of the biggies in the industry. But they've made those patents at least 100 million franchise to them. So it is 10 to 15 or maybe 20% of their turnover today. So if we it is a heavy cost to start with. Like in terms of, I'll give you small perspective in terms of R&D overall. India's spend is 0.6% of the GDP. China's spend is 2.5%. Most of the other regions like Vietnam is in similar range. US is 3.5%. So they're spending 5 to 7% of their GDP in R&D activities, innovation activities, patents. And then this is across industry. I'm not saying this is only textile and apparel, but again, I think the percentage by far would be similar across industries. In fact, in India, I can definitely say percentage for textile will be in fact much lower. Again, the private sector contribution is only around 30% in comparison to other development economies, whereas it's 65, 70, 80%. So private sector is not, not focusing on innovation. But where you do and where we spend money, focus there, then I can give you a number of examples where we have holding patents and we are earning, and we are strong in the manner that we are enjoying a negotiating position today on the table with the buyer, with those patents and everything. So that is how innovation comes together.
Thank you. Before I go to the next question, panelists, in our panel, there was a representation from a manufacturer side also. Unfortunately, the panelists couldn't make it. And I'll request if any one of you can come here and share the manufacturer's perspective also, because we have questions on that also. So I invite any one of you, a manufacturer, who can join this panel.
You are also a manufacturer, sir.
Now I come to you, Karen. Overview of India's global position as a supply base, capacities, raw material availability, product portfolio, price competitiveness and design, everything. What is your perspective being representing a global company here in India? How do you see that?
First, so I'll just jump on what was said before regarding the improvements. There's one thing that we need to remember, that why a lot of brands are still in India and are producing a lot in India. India has a lot of strengths, like very, very strong strengths. Of course, the first organic cotton producer, the creativity, like all the detailing that nowhere else in the world you can find. This is what we are coming along to find. The price is one thing also that is very important, but those strengths are very, very important, and they have to remain, for sure. So you listed a couple of things that what are we looking for? We are looking for all that, but we are looking also for more, for always the next steps that India can bring. New products, innovation, new design, new creativity. And I think it's also high time to not just sit on what we have and what we've been doing for the past 10, 20 years, but look around and look that those trends today might not be the strength of tomorrow. I don't think India wants to become Bangladesh, the cheap, garment country. This is not the goal. The goal is really to develop in a lot of different product categories and keep on shining on where we are the best. So I'm going to give you an example of what is happening today and what I feel we are not even thinking about for tomorrow. Today we might think that, for example, a brand like us, brands that are managed by my colleagues here, we are all competitors, but actually we are not. There's a bigger strength for brands that is AI technology-led brands like Shein, Temu, all these brands. We design, produce, buy, ship, sell. They sell, produce, ship. They have no stock. They don't have problems of cash flow. They can adapt to every single trend. Today, we need to find brands and manufacturers a way to work more closely to the trends, more closely to the customer needs. Second, also, that I would like to add on this is that we talk about the fact that we are not happy about this, about the performances, etc., which is a big, big part of, I think, things that needs to be improved today. Performances of India and a couple of things, especially on deliveries, on commitments, are not being met. But it's not everything. There is a roadmap, a business strategy also that we expect from our business partners, telling us like, okay, today we do that with you, tomorrow we will do that with you. I have vendors I've been working with for 20 years. One of them is making my leggings, black leggings in cotton for 20 years, not changed the product for 20 years. And now that this product is going, because it's not in fashion or I don't sell them so much, he's telling me, but I don't have anything to make. What else do you have to offer? Because today, this was the product of yesterday. What product are you offering me for tomorrow? So I think this kind of mindset has to change. We need to be able to perform better together to serve the end customer. Today, if Supplier doesn't deliver on time, doesn't deliver the right quality, the right look. It's not me that he doesn't serve, it's his end customer, which is our common customer. And if you deliver a dress, a summer dress, in end of August in Europe, you're not going to sell your summer dress. You need to sell it in June. So we need to refocus on the needs of the end customer, that is our common goal, and be able to achieve their needs.
One more thing which I raised a question before that this perception which you also have, your organization also has this perception that India is only good for these summer and spring garments?
Still yes, but it's changing. I feel a lot of things are evolving. India is adding a lot of categories of products. Fashion is changing a bit. We are able to do categories in winter that can be with lighter weight, where India is stronger. And then we have also additional categories like sportswear, etc. that are being developed. So we are able to manage the peak. We also try to work, I think a lot of brands like us, we try to work with the vendors to flatten the production, try to commit in some categories in advance to be able to fill the capacity when it's lean period, because sometimes definitely the capabilities are not there. I'm talking about a very heavy jacket, for example. It's very rare to find this kind of capabilities in India. Shoes. I'm talking for us. I'm talking for our parent company also. We are from the Muli group, so we work a lot with Decathlon. They sell in India everywhere. They've been telling me we're struggling to make shoes in India. They want to sell it, they have customers, and now they still have to import it. So definitely more than winter, summer is how to cater the whole categories and how to find the right capabilities also. And how to work together in not making it, a peak and valley production, which is very hurtful for manufacturers as well.
Nivedita, I have probably almost the same thing which I asked her, because you also represent MNS. And you also face the same, like India's positioning, the global supply chain, the challenges, and plus another opportunity for the UK, where this FTA is now within a few months. But do you see any change coming with this FTA? The business goes up, or you think it will remain the same?
No, definitely. FTA has been long overdue. I think we've all waited for it, and finally it's come through. But I think, and it built up a lot of momentum, to be very frank, with all the retailers in UK. But I think, again, there is a story, there is a discussion that it is now in UK Parliament, and they are hiring some third party to look into the FTA in little more details and things like that. So I think everybody is wondering when will it be finally signed, because again there was a momentum that it picked up around July. Now there's again a stall, and somebody's saying that it will be done by end of this year, somebody's saying it is going to be mid next year, somebody's even saying there were rumors about moving it to 2027. So yeah, so all kinds of things happening. So I think when it does happen, it is definitely going to benefit. I think everybody is looking forward to going in double digits by 2030. So that is there, but I think we're just waiting when will it happen. Just to add on to my colleagues' points, yes, these issues have been for the longest time. I would say there has been slight improvement. I would not say there's not been improvement. The people who are the exporters, who are actually growing, are the ones who try to improve those aspects. I think in today's time, your performance does not talk to you. We no longer, as representatives, have to say that this supply is good, this supply is not good. The KPIs are all there. It's all in front. You are as good as what you're performing. And if you are performing on all those criteria, there is no way somebody can say, I will not take this business to others. So be able, with respect to pricing, competitiveness, be it delivery performance, be it sustainability aspect of it, upscaling themselves, using automations, into that deal. Every time that you put in the things, it does impact the brand, and the brand looks forward to saying, how can we grow business with them? But suppliers who are saying, you give me this and then I will put, they are the ones who are going to lag behind. We are no longer in that situation where we can do the handholding anymore. Like I mentioned in my last forum also, we want to work with vendors who are 70% there and 30% the brand can handhold them and say, okay, we tell you how to go about it. But if they're not there,
Yes.
if it is a reverse scenario, we will not be able to do it. In today's time, I think at the end of the day, again, like Karen mentioned, and we were having, during lunchtime we were discussing, I think we should stop comparing ourselves with Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a different ballgame. They're doing very different kind of product. We are doing very different kind of product. We have to see where do we scale up ourselves in diversifying what we can do. So when you talked about this question about autumn, winter, spring, summer being peak seasons for us, we overcome it, underperform, and then we talk about getting autumn, winter also. We have to first get our spring, summer right, because our delivery performances are so bad, and almost all retailers look towards India when spring, summer happens. So they're very scared to now move on, the products that we do in autumn, winter from some other country to your country. There's a lot of development that is happening. Obviously, we are working on man-made fibers and things like that, and we are looking into it. There are certain suppliers that are investing in time and energy to make a collection in that. However, the performance of it is something that we need to work. We need to bring that category onto the table when we are 200% sure that we are like for like. If we give them half-cooked things and say, oh, we've started this is a new product, but it's failing testings, it's not performing, we do not have, the garment does not look like for like, we will not be able to say. So I think the whole idea is that there are few suppliers who are up with their game, who are investing in it and working in this idea in the background, and I think others should look at it, but I think we have to look at diversifying what all categories. Like Rahul mentioned, footwear is the biggest issue at this moment. With BIS certification and all those things that are coming into being, it's becoming very difficult to source footwear out of India. Athletic wear, again, we are not seen for it is because we've not really shown, what we can do. And to be very frank, we are still not there. Because that requires a different level of technology, which again, we have to import the fabric. I think today what we are looking as brands, at least our brand is, the fabric should be made in India and we are making it out of India, rather than getting the fabric from China, Vietnam, Cambodia, somewhere, and then making it here. The whole idea is, it does not make sense because we have our sourcing regions in all those countries. It does not make sense for us to get this fabric from there and then to here. So what can India do? And explore that. And I think we need to widen our categories, and it's all about co-create now, as we've been repeatedly saying in the last forum also. What brands are looking at is a lot of newness. And I think that depending a lot now, the design teams are reducing in retailer side, and they're focusing more because we have vendors here who are much more traveled, have much more exposure now, and have design offices in various countries. So they feel that when you have that kind of resource, why not? But the whole idea is, again, be very, very conscious about when you do this designing, just don't go overboard, because then we talk about raw percentages and things like that. So I think we need to have a very good balance about co-create and then saying at what price value are we talking about. So I think we need to think about what customers that we're taking to and design accordingly. So I think there's a lot of positive, and I can see a lot of exporters now getting into it, small, big. But I think whoever has invested that, and there's a lot of thought process that we talked about mindset. I think we have to come out of that mindset, and that chaltawa attitude is purely the thing. You have a delivery on 20th, you ship on 30th, and it says just 1 week. It's just 1 week delay. But we don't realize with the
Happy to hear this. I have another question, but before that, a small observation. You mentioned that especially the peak season we overcome it. But as a sourcing office or a buyer's representative or a buying office, you know your vendor's capacity. But you still place more orders to them. Okay, we are greedy because 6 months we were hungry and we wanted to, it's a common tendency. If you are hungry, you tend to overeat. So we ask, and you know the capacity, but you still keep placing the orders. And you know what is the end result? We get the bad name that we didn't deliver on time. But you remember, in terms of meeting that, we overran our cost. We are paying overtimes, regularly overtime, to meet those delivery deadlines. We are paying extra cost for getting the fabric faster, material faster. We are paying even sometimes premium also. And the workers also. We are paying retention bonus, we are paying joining bonus, and all sort of things. So it's pushing our costs also. And this is, and at the other end, most of these buyers, especially in Europe especially, you see there is a lot of pressure on sustainability. That you should not damage the environment. So you ask us to, over deliver and at the same time save the environment also. It's a contradiction.
No, I think we do capacity mapping. My question is, when you overbook yourself, I have done capacity mapping for myself. She's done capacity mapping with you on herself, and everything on the paper looks great. But one delivery, one fabric delay or something, it tends to create a ripple effect.
Yes.
I think that coping mechanism is not there. Okay, this is how do we de-risk? What most of the exporters do is that, okay, this has got delayed, it has impacted everything, and then everything starts getting delayed.
Yes.
So I think we have to be better at the core season, because at the end of the day, that spring, summer season, if you are not delivering that there, it is not selling. It is a loss for you, it's a loss for the brand at the end. So, we are all in this business to make money.
Yes.
We are not here to do charity. And at the end of the day, if the deliverable is not there, if we are not shipping the good on time and giving it the complete sale time,
Yes.
we are all losing.
At the end of the day, the airlines are laughing away with our money. What the money should have come to us, it goes to airlines pocket.
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Just one more thing, so I totally agree on all the points, and I understand your frustration because it's frustrating everyone, and definitely when there is one problem on the supply chain, it affects everything, and when you're on the peak, it's a ripple effect and it's a catastrophe. The one thing that I tell people I work with is that don't come to me as 2 weeks delay is a solution. There is a solution somewhere. We can find a solution somewhere. You're going to delay my top selling garment and you're not even telling me, okay, maybe we can think about extending this one, then I can ship this one. This proactivity in thinking about your end customer first. Okay, this one really is your top seller. Okay, let me think, I'm going to reshuffle. The proactivity in business and the fact that we are working in this together, not against each other, at the same goal, because if I sell my goods, I'll ask you to produce more. So let's work on a solution and a delay is not a solution.
Yeah, I'll keep it reserved for you. I did bit of your part as a moderator. I should have not been a partial to that, but manufacturer inside me. M&S is known in the market as quality standards, technical compliance, and other things. So where do you see your Indian suppliers now? They are at par with other competitive countries in terms of quality and the technical compliances and standards?
Yeah, I think most of them are. Okay. Most of them are, and anybody who's not is losing out, and it's not with respect to only Max Expenses. Okay. They lose out in all retailers because every retailer, this has now become a basic requirement. We are not having anything extra in addition to Kiabi or other. We are all in that same, all European standards should be similar. So there could be like American and European slight difference, you think? More or less everybody is asking for the same thing.
Thank you. Mandeep, this is what the challenges Indian supplier face in meeting buyers' expectations.
I'd like to go back to what Rahul
Yeah,
said,
please.
and also it relates to what Nivedita talked about. You gave an example where you have a bestseller which is at risk. And why does the factory not come to you with a solution? Maybe move some deliveries around. I think the big reason, one, of course, we all know there needs to be better communication. And I don't know about your companies, but generally speaking, if one were to have that conversation, the buyer at the other end would jump. Because they in turn have a lot of work relating to each range that they planned, and they are not willing to do that work of rejuggling the ranges. I understand if there are some styles that are going out from the same factory, which need to be coordinated with some product from China, and that is a huge challenge. But from the time the goods leave the factory to the time they're going to be in the store, there are steps in between, and those timelines can also be juggled a little bit. And that does involve extra work on the buying end. So my question is, yes, things happen. I think bad things and bad surprises happen more often than they should, especially in the NCR region. But I also feel that there is not enough flexibility in terms of replanning, range integrity excluded. I'm not going to argue with that, because if you have 5 styles, 5 different countries, everything has to get in at the same time. So I'm not talking about that. But it's very rare that we find that at the buying end, they're willing to rejuggle their ranges to accommodate that one style that has a problem and allow you to maybe move something else behind. So that's one. Would you like to respond on that?
No, I think first the delay should be exceptional.
Yes.
Right? So at that time there should be a communication. Then if factory is constantly delayed, then there is a bigger problem in planning. Like then,
We're not talking about constant, we're talking
yes.
about one-off situations.
So that is definitely the relationship that you have with your buyer, I guess, and how good you know him and what kind of information they are sharing with you. But I agree that can be a bit difficult, because when you launch a product, you launch your summer, there is timelines and there are like hundreds of people at the back that have to move everything. So definitely, and we are just the beginning of the chain, and then you have to manage everything afterwards because of us. So it's obviously a very difficult conversation that you can have once, twice a year. When you have it every week, then it gets a bit tense.
Okay, so that brings me to the next point. Nivedita talked about KPIs for factories. I think usually humans are motivated based on what they're measured on, right? So my question is, how does your evaluation system for your buyers correlate and interact with which suppliers they choose? Because in my experience of working, I find there are these KPIs, they exist for the factories, but those are not the primary drivers of decision making for the buyer, because the buyer is very motivated by the margin she's bringing in. So there's not adequate correlation between the buyer's motivation and the factory's performance. In theory, you have the charts and you put them up to the factories, and that's all great. But it doesn't correlate with the buyer's motivation, because there might be 5 teams at any brand that a factory is working with, and each of those 5 buyers is trying to maximize the margin that they're getting. And I think there's a dichotomy there, and that does drive a kind of flawed decision making, where you would have a factory that performs very well, but they might be slightly higher on the price, but guess what? They're not getting enough business from XYZ brand. So have you thought about that?
Yeah. KPIs are responsible. You know, when you talk about margin, you do margin when you set FOBs. Okay? This happens before the production. But at the end of the day, we have to correlate whether the that margin that we are thinking that we are making with that delayed goods, how is it impacted? Because that margin is gone. Whatever was planned, the margin was there. Because these goods were delayed and these goods did not reach the store, we have to discount them.
It's not just about a delay example, it's about, because the KPI sheet
No,
has
so
many parameters.
I'll tell. We do not want to set standards where just because it is margin, why do we invest so much of time and energy making a KPI if that is diluting the whole process? And this KPI is not made by one person. This KPI is made with every division in defining the sourcing officers here as well as UK counterparts. So this exercise is not as simple as let's sit down and just rate the supplier. It is with a lot of numbers, data that we bring out, because when we share it with the supplier can also question us on those data.
I'm not questioning the validity of the KPIs.
Yeah. No, but that
KPI, how does it correlate with the
it does
motivation
correlate.
of the buyer?
Otherwise, there is no point having a KPI.
So I can add to that. So firstly, I think even margin today, most of the buyers are, club the entire assortment they're buying from a single supplier, and there are 10 suppliers. So, what margin they are making from each supplier is also one of the KPIs, number one. Number two, I also want to question, why do you think performing good on the KPI gives a right to charge higher for any product? Why? In fact, most of the good concerns that we are working with, they're price-wise more cost effective because they're delivering in most of the things, they're efficient. They have big infrastructure, they're giving us a better product, but still maintaining the same cost and good in their KPIs in terms of delivery, in terms of quality. So just being good on your performance parameters doesn't mean you're always expensive, number one. At the time also where you think you have a premium product, you want to charge extra, I would still say yes, our buyers are giving that, we are looking at that, okay, this is a bigger factory, better product. The product has a little cream to it. They would definitely negotiate, haggle to bring him down, but at the same time they realize it could be a better product. So that's not every time the case. So as we began the discussion, so every time it's not the price which wins. This is what I can tell you because I've been working with buyers. We assess everybody's offers when theirs on the table. Like we're sending a single inquiry out to 4 vendors. Generally, all are in the ballpark figure. They're all similar in terms of their magnitude, what capacities they have, and then we judge, okay, which has a better KPI, their better performance in the past year, and how we can do that. And this is what the discussion we have with our buyers. So not every time price is.
Yeah, it's a benchmarking that has to be done across the board. It's very transparent now.
My question is still not answered.
I can give you one point.
We are running out of time. I think
Just one sentence.
Specific, Mandeep, the challenges, whatever you discuss, definitely these are the challenges. Any specific challenges will the Indian suppliers face in meeting the buyer's expectation?
Okay, I tend to look inwards towards what we need to do better, more. So I'll start with saying I'm ill-equipped to properly answer, because I feel one of the biggest challenges we have as a factory, and I think it might be true as a country as well, is the consistency of the raw material coming in.
Yes.
Where you start with a particular swatch or a bit loom, and somewhere along the way you move to production, and you realize that you were testing for, you can test for your count, you can test for your repick. Guess what, this time you forget to test for the twist on that fabric at the weaving stage. So instead of a 1800 TPM, they gave you a fabric with a 1500 TPM. And you end up with less of a crinkle than you expected. Or you had asked for fully combed and you got a semi-combed fabric. So that consistency down the supply chain is something that's frustrating. What can ask for the buyer? I would say smarter, younger buyers who've actually visited a factory and know about the raw materials our biggest challenge is explaining to a customer why, as a recent example, why a cotton flex that you discussed for 4 months ends up showing as cotton linen in the lab report. And the buyer thinks you've cheated them.
I think we are up. They want to throw us out from here. Just one line from each of you. Way forward for India to become a leading global sourcing powerhouse. Just one line from each one of you. Way forward for India.
I think strategic thinking. We look at mindset. I think we need to change our mindset. I think we have a lot of opportunities.
Gauri?
Yes, same mindset, performance, and is whatever is coming. I think India has a very, very good future, but we really need to look at what needs to be improved to be able to grow. You can't grow if you don't do that.
I would say India has, what Caroline said earlier, India has big strengths. We have big strengths in terms of our creativity, designing, in terms of our zeal, I would say, Indians as such. We just have to capitalize on them by changing, by bringing change in our processes and adopting quality and, upskilling as a mantra.
Thank you. So me and Mandeep, we both should go. I mean, the question out for you.
You can speak for me.
No. We go with that, that we have to change our mindset first. And then the rest of the things. So thank you all.
And one mantra I would like to give in this current time of tariff, I think we should have adopted it much earlier. So we were always, 5 years, we were talking about China plus one. I think this is the time to talk about ES, EU plus 10. So each of the suppliers should target, other than ES in EU market, you should have 10 customers from other countries. Target that and this tariff won't bother us for long, definitely.
Thank you all for giving us time to listen to us. And I'm sure we kept you awake.
Thank you to all our panelists for sharing such valuable perspectives. May I now request Mr. Arjun Uppal, Director PM Pro, Mr. Pranav Uppal, MD New Delhi Export House, and Mr. Ishan Mehta, Director Rainbow Fab Art, to kindly come up on the stage and present mementos to our moderator and panelists.
Idea was to get the real thing on the side.
Mr. Arjun Uppal, to Dr. Animesh Saxena,
Whose name was?
Mr. Arjun Uppal to present the memento to Dr. Animesh Saxena. Mr. Rahul Gupta. Mr. Pranav Uppal to kindly present the memento to Ms. Nivedita Sinha. And Mr. Ishan Mehta to present the memento to Ms. Joire. Can we have a group photograph, please?